Entrepreneurs the world over have said on record just how important reading has been to their journey. From providing education to inspiration, reading is such an essential skill. One entrepreneur who definitely relates with this is the director at Bokang Legacy and SB Powerhouse, Bokang Montjane-Tshabalala. She joins me on the bookshelf today. Dumela, Osi.
Dumela, okay.
Thanks. Let's talk reading and writing.
Yes.
I mean, the fact that you and your husband co-authored books, you know, one around African superhero, the other around an African princess. Is that where reading for you was like, this is where I'm going to bring the two worlds together, where my love for it and business is going to come together?
I think for me, my entire world is about being African, being a proud African, and also representation. So when I started the Kiddies clothing line with, you know, my husband is a superhero, Super Shaba, and a black princess who's exactly like me, called Princess Bokang, on clothes, I realized that kids always want to know, they love the clothes, they love seeing somebody who looks like them, right, on clothes, but now they wanted to know the story behind these beautiful characters. And so I decided to write the books, and it has been such a great experience. And I think for me, not just as an entrepreneur, but as a mother, the fact that I can have books that have, you know, faces that look like my children, these are the kind of books that I think African moms and fathers should be reading for their kids. And so, and I mean, for me, these two books are just extremely too close to my heart.
The second book I'd love us to talk about is the one by Robert Kiyosaki. You know, when everybody thinks about this particular author, there's one book everybody knows, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But for you, the book is Cash Flow Quadrant. Yeah. What were the lessons that you took from it?
The greatest lesson for me definitely was it's not how much money you make, but how much money you keep and save. And having been a daddy's little girl, I would run to my dad even in varsity, I'd run to my dad every single time I ran out of my money. And I think I got so spoiled. And then as an adult, I struggled a lot with
then
I knew that, you know what, actually there's something called budgeting. You have to keep your money, you have to save your money. Now that I'm a mother, you know, and literally it does not matter how much you make if you're going to spend all of it. You need to know how to save your money. You need to make sure that your money works for you and you don't work on a single day. Every single day you wake up to make money.
And not only for legacy, but for also just the business day to day, right?
Most
you can't be staying up at night thinking to yourself, is coming from where?
Yeah, and I mean, especially with the pandemic, you know, one of the things I think a lot of businesses definitely fell apart because, you know, most businesses couldn't even survive for 3 months without having an income, and it teaches you a lot. So I think that's definitely the biggest and best lesson I learned.
Final one is such a powerful book that, you know, I have seen many times on my timeline, and that's Ayanda Buroto's Unbecoming to Become. A lot of the time, I think that entrepreneurs focus on the numbers. They focus on my books balancing and whatnot, but they don't focus on the spiritual and the mental self-worth, you know? Tell me more about this book and what it's meant for your entrepreneurial journey.
I mean, I'm one of those people, as an ambitious person, if you have to look at, you know, the record of all the things I do, like I'm one of those people, I just think I can do everything and I literally go for it. And I always used to say to myself, you know, even after marriage and kids, I won't lose myself, right? And I remember one day I looked at myself and I couldn't recognize myself anymore. Why? Because the role of being a wife and being a mom, I was pouring and giving so much of who I am to everybody else but to myself. And I think at some point we all have to go through this journey whereby you unbecome, you unlearn every single thing that society has said about you, that your environment has taught you about you. You literally let go, and you become everything that you should be. And so this book was, you know, for me it was just beautiful to see women. I think it's so beautiful for us to share as women because the challenges we go through. And if you look at being an entrepreneur, how are you going to make it if you don't know who you are? Because, you know, I mean, I've had, you know, so many doors slammed in my face a million times, and I find myself, that one thing that's inside of me, when you know yourself, you know your self-worth, you know that this is mine. Remember, your dream is yours to dream. Even if other people don't share the same idea, even if other people don't fully understand what it is you're trying to build, you need to know yourself. And so this book just took me on a beautiful journey. And I love the fact that she was so honest and so genuine and so frank as well. So you didn't feel like, oh gosh, I'm reading a book with some motivational speaker who's always trying to sound smart.
That feels far-fetched.
She was so human about it. And I absolutely love this book.
You know, I believe that self-work is hard work, but it's hard work, but it's worth it.
It's so worth it.
And this feels like that's the kind of book that does
so
that.
Worth it.
Before I let you go, Why would you say fellow entrepreneurs should read? Why should they pick up a book or even podcasts, like listening to spoken word?
I believe that you can learn something from everyone, whether it's through conversation, whether it's through learning, whether it's through storytelling. I mean, if we're going to talk about books, we know that as Africans, we're storytellers. It's just
day one.
We do
in our
it
blood.
so verbally, so it comes so naturally. But creating, even with the kiddies books, creating a culture of reading among Black kids is very, very important because we don't have that. But we do have the history of telling stories around the fire when you go
passing things
on. And so for me, I think as an entrepreneur, there's always something you can learn from someone, whether it's podcasts, whether it's books. So you absolutely need to do it, whether it's, in terms of getting advice as a human being, as a woman, as a man, or even just as an entrepreneur.
Bokang Montjane-Tshabalala, thank you so much. You are a powerhouse and keep shining and keep building.
Thank you.